you know that COVID only made this problem much worse. And today's estimates are probably a quarter to a third higher than what we saw in 2019. WHO predicts that half of everyone in the world at some point before, and social is, can we manage jobs and relationships? Can we manage the environment around us? To be truly sustainable, which is what this session is about, I think that traditional approaches have to be sustained with holistic approaches, which are not usually identified or addressed. So in that sense, we not only treat mental health, but also enhance mental health ahead of time and then prevent it from happening. This is far cheaper, more effective, and more sustainable. Instead of just handling emotions, we should hand definitions. You may hear these words through some presentations, and I wanted to define them ahead of time. Like incompletions are any past memory, thoughts, and emotions that restrict our spontaneity in the current moment and limit our actions in the future, which means they are limiting our future potential. They tend to manifest as like strong, low emotions such as anger, depression, agitation. Imagine in a school, a teacher evaluates students. They only have a single way of evaluating students based on their own rubric. If a student doesn't fit into that rubric, then the student is graded low, and then the student grows up thinking that they don't have great potential, although they may be extraordinary in doing certain things that no one else can, right? That is what I mean by growing up with beliefs that are self-limiting, as capable of, but we are capable of extraordinary things. So a powerful cognition would be something that alters how you see yourself. Like the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism said, we are not human beings striving for a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings enjoying a human experience. If you look at yourself that way, as a spiritual being, then you don't think of yourself.
And this is a university that is styled after the ancient Vedic, ancient Hindu universities from antiquity. Fields of psychology, philosophy, medicine, sociology. Of course, mental health is covered very widely through this university. This has been reawakened through our chancellor, who I'm going to talk about in the next. And from that space, he has reestablished the United States of KAILASA, which is a Hindu civilizational nation in service to Hinduism. It also has sovereign land as a sovereign state, also functions as a civilizational state and a service-based state, contributing to the communities around, and as a foundational enlightenment ecosystem for all the people that are living there. He's also revived many dimensions of Hinduism, the powers of Paramashiva, the scriptures, temple rituals, and lifestyles for enlightened living. Briefly, so mind-body. So treating mental health through the mind is very challenging in that it goes beyond the mind. So efforts to powerfully address mental health have started to look at a mind-body system, and we'll be talking about it a little bit later, about things like the biome and the physical structures of how the mind and body interact and the brain and body interact. And then we're positing that it also can extend to consciousness. So the first topic we're going to talk about is cellular effects of mind-body intervention. So this was a 3-week program called Inner Awakening, again organized by Swamiji and run directly by Swamiji. Involved activities like yoga, meditation, initiations, which we're going to talk about what that looks like at the EEG level, a sattvic diet, the science of completion, which we'll talk about as well. And participants' blood were drawn before and after. Some of them would have already been part of this enlightenment ecosystem, would have already known Swamiji, and some of them would have been new. So basically, gene expression change means the DNA may be, or may not be, but even if it's the same, the way the genes are being expressed is changing remarkably to tamp down inflammation and to support anti-aging. So you should be less stressed and more young, right? That's what we'd expect at the level of the organism. So based on that research, and this one was studied. The first one was published in Advances in Aging. The follow-up study was published in a journal called the Journal of Stem Cells. And based on the study, they said, let's look at telomerase activity and let's look at peripheral blood stem cells. Telomerase is an enzyme that works to keep the cell an increase in that is going to mean more use at a cellular level. The last thing they did, this was not published in that article, but it was around that time, They measured mitochondrial metabolism through a test called the MTT assay, which is online. But again, it's completely organized and run and attended by our Swamiji, and done through teleconferencing, just much like how this meeting is going right now. So we looked at 4 different scales associated with mental health. One is the DASS, which stands for Depression, Anxiety, Stress Scale. One is WHO5, which looks at overall sense of well-being. One is SF36, which looks at overall physical health and some aspects of mental health as well. And the last is MAAS, which for the depression score, anything above 10 means depression. 5.7 is the average. For this, the post scores were 2, 2.7, so much lower than average and very far from depression. So this is going to show up as a really great state of well-being. And then we looked at anxiety. Above 8 is considered as an anxious person. The average in the US is around 6, so almost anxious. And for example, one population we looked at in research was women in infertility. The score is about 53. In many, it'll vary around the world, but many populations will be around 50 or so. In our participants, they started around 60 and then went up to around 80 afterwards. So 80 is a huge sense of well-being, extremely high sense of well-being. Really, really profound. And you can see again, if you look at the line graph and the bar graphs, everything's just going up. So really a profound sense of well-being, this lifestyle, which supports a sense of mindfulness. But at the end, it went all the way up to 4.8, 4.65. So a huge jump. The paired analysis just missed statistical significance. The p-value is 0.51. The trend, I think, speaks for itself. But the unpaired analysis was statistically significant. So again, we see an increase in mindfulness. So then the question becomes, what are these programs? What is special about these programs that's bringing these really remarkable changes at the cellular level? Particularly the mitochondrial assay, you'll never see anything like that. And all the other changes, the stem cells, the telomerase activity, the gene expression, and then these changes in mental health. So to better understand that, a lot of science has been done. Right where that is, that area would light up in the brain when you would activate his third eye, which I think is really fascinating. And then on EEG, which measures brain activity, they found complete control over brainwave activity. He could just control his brainwaves at will. There was another doctor, a neuroscientist named Acosta Urquida from Sound Health Designs in Wichita, and this was in 2005 and 2006. And they measured studied samadhi, which is like a superconscious state. It connected with the yogic tradition, and healing conditions. It said he is always in a permanent state of meditation. Then this is the one that I think is most fascinating. There's a Dr. William Collins. This was done in 2005 in St. Louis. He's a neurofeedback researcher who was looking at, and I'll explain why. But then the person he was healing, when he was doing direct one-on-one healing, they went into the same increased extreme gamma activity in the whole brain. Also, when he did just a general healing that wasn't specific to the person in the room, from Dr. Collins, that he couldn't believe that he said there's no such thing as normal for you. He couldn't believe that his baseline level of mental activity. They talked about the power of the gamma waves in the mind. They take a huge amount of metabolic energy, and the person he healed were completely refreshed and energetic afterwards. And the doctor said, if I had done this, I'd be fatigued and sleeping by the time it's over. So for deep restorative sleep, or if you were like in a coma. Theta waves, these are 4 to 8 hertz. These will correlate if you're in REM sleep, if you're daydreaming, if you're in a deep meditation but not sleeping, or very drowsy. This is what you'll have. Beta waves would be, we'll go to alpha waves here. Alpha waves are the next state. They go from 8 to 12 hertz. This is if you're awake and alert and kind of receptive. Could be a listening state. Many of you guys are in alpha right now. If you close your eyes, you go into heavy alpha waves. And then beta waves would be when the muse speaks to the artist, like that. It's also connected with enhanced creativity. Interestingly, in populations and individuals who have very little baseline gamma activity, they're much more likely to develop Alzheimer's dementia. In individuals who have a higher baseline, like very low levels, I'm talking that you need a QEEG to detect, they're not going to have dementia. Alzheimer's amount of meditation. This came out in 2004 by Dr. Davidson in Wisconsin, a really breakthrough publication. When they would go into a oneness and compassion meditation, they could go into sustained gamma. That's the only other time they're developing this capacity, which means this level, which we're positing as a space of super consciousness, very high level of consciousness that correlates with concepts of enlightenment that have been talked about throughout history. This level, this capacity can be built in people and built in large groups of people over time. So this is raw data of TPS is thoughts per second, means completely quiet mind. And their whole sense of space will be just completely spacious and unclutched. So we're really excited about this. I think it has tremendous significance for humanity on many levels. And we're excited to research it further. So we'll be talking a little more at the end. Anyone who's out there who's listening, if you're interested in this space of consciousness and how to recreate it and measure it and study it, please connection to higher consciousness. Yoga Pada, yoga and pranayamas and meditations and kriyas will be doing all of these experiential in this presentation. And then knowing pursuit of powerful cognitions means knowing yourself as a very powerful, connected being that is worthy of having this life experience and can express this life experience. And one thing that I think is connected all throughout the world, Hindu diaspora, people who have come from Hindu civilizations or backgrounds and spread all over the world, they have
play a little video about a meditation that can help you get to that state and calm your mind down. Like very often we are all filled with anxiety, and this meditation personally has helped me calm myself down in a moment of stress or anxiety, or in a moment of indecision. I don't know what to do, right? And I want to have clarity of mind. Too many thoughts are running in my mind.
I'll just put the whole unclutching in one line. Listen. Decide. In the initial level, you may be a little deluded here, there. In few seconds, you will see you are not thinking process. Pure unclutching. Pure unclutching. Sit straight.
Yeah. One thing I want to say, we're going to give you a few minutes just to go through this unclutching. It's a great experience. I think it's really worth seeing that how simple a process can really bring your stress levels down. So I would really advise you to you would see that. So just close your eyes. We're going to play music for a little bit, and then just keep unclutching. Every time a thought comes, just unclutch without engaging with it. Please play the music. Peter, we're not able to hear the music.
You able to hear it now?
Yes.
Unclutch from your thoughts. Close your eyes and unclutch from your thoughts. more visible to you. Sometimes the blood pumping through your heart becomes more audible to you. Unclutch from those also. So there is as you hear things, those are also thoughts. They're triggering thoughts inside of you. So next time, just keep unclutching deeper and deeper, and you'll see this deep sense of silence coming in. So it's a great technique. You can try it anytime.
Plays a very important role in regulating mood and cognition, not only through activity of certain brain structures, but also pathways or circuits of communication between different brain regions are important. Measure of diet is very crucial in mental health. So eating a Western diet has been associated with poor mental health. And while just by switching over to whole food, plant-based diet, you can make big improvements in mental health. So again, we're highlighting how just lifestyle measures which cost very little to nothing, such as yoga, meditation, and diet, can make a huge impact. And it can reduce the costs associated with current treatment model based on medications, therapy, which is expensive, medications have side effects. And so we can go on to the next slide. So many studies have been done on depression, looking actually at the vibration and feeling pleasure. And so we can go on to the next slide. So not only is the gray matter or the brain cells, are they affected in depression, but also very importantly, the white matter system is affected. The white matter is very important in, this is how different areas of brain communicate. And you can see certain regions of the brain have higher volume or more gray matter or neurons. For example, the medial and superior frontal gyrus. This is an area responsible executive functioning, so in other words, planning activities, social cognition, which lead us to interact well with others. The presental and parahippocampal gyrus and hippocampus are very important for memory and handling your stress. These are enhanced in practitioners of yoga. Areas like the insula, superior temporal gyrus, occipital gyrus, and cerebellum are important for now we can move on to what we found in practitioners of meditation. So they have been studied structurally, but also functionally. So we have functional MRI studies which look more than the brain structure. It looks at different areas of brain that are activated at during certain tasks. They're thicker in various brain regions listed there. These are regions that are important for emotions, decision-making, learning, memory, and also the ability to monitor ourself, to know what's happening within us and our environment, and as well as having self-awareness about fear and anxiety. Meditators at baseline have a higher level of serotonin, and it in fact further increases after a meditation session, which is very interesting. They tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety, and they've been shown to have increased amounts of dopamine as well through a 12-week program of yoga. And they measured their amount of anxiety and depression before and after. And looked at a brain chemical called GABA, which is very important for regulating our mood and reducing anxiety. And they showed there was a significant improvement in the amount of anxiety and depression that they were experiencing before and after, to the point that many were no longer depressed. And the GABA activity was boosted basically to the same level as people who were healthy and who did not have depression.
Affects what happens in the brain. So the next question comes is, how can we impact the gut in a best possible way? So, the whole food plant-based diet, which is called Sattvic diet, which basically comprises of is caused by whole food plant-based diet. Next slide. This just goes over a few things. Microbiome in the gut plays an important role in the gut-brain axis, as I talked about. And it produces neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, glutamate, and microbial composition is crucial. Some contributes reduce inflammation and carcinogens, as I was telling you. People who ate raw fruits and vegetables versus cooked or canned fruits and vegetables had significantly improved mood. And as I talked about, processed and packaged food are harmful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pandav.
Actually,
Thank you.
plants are also life, no doubt, but they have not developed a biomemory where the pain is stored and gets prone to that pain. That's the reason I request you to be a vegetarian.
Okay, now we'll have a very quick summary and very brief discussion about some.
Health. In other words, reaching our full potential, mind, body, and consciousness. So I'd just like to open up the discussion now to also Dr. Pandav and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji. And maybe we can discuss how the Hindu lifestyle practices that Swamiji is promoting have made an impact in our mental well-being. And so
you feel much lighter, your energy level goes through the roof, and the last, your meditation deepens like amazingly to a deep level, in the sense that you're not doing meditation, it is kind of happening to you. So it's a different state to be in, and I found this to be amazingly powerful technique. I think Dr. Shachi, you may have also got.
People would comment on that, wonder what I was doing. And so I definitely also experienced those similar kinds of benefits,
When I was doing it, I felt like saying, darn it, I should have done it earlier.
Yes, very much. So I wished I had, I really didn't know about any of this before Swamiji. So
I think Dr. Shivaji had an experience that she maybe would like to share about Nirahara Samima.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Shivaji, did you have an experience you wanted to share?
I think you're muted, Ma.
You're so good, and I used to tell everybody, about the Nirahara Samima. This is my personal experience about that. And then, are we going to talk about Aushadha?
Jump in, Ma. Dr. Shivaji, thank you so much for sharing that. I know there's so much more to talk about. We're going to talk about Aushadhas, Harataki, a very powerful detox herb that Swamiji.
In mental health, in physical and mental health. And part of changing lifestyle is not only practicing yoga, and unfortunately, we're not going to be practicing any of the yoga asanas today because it's difficult to demonstrate in this particular venue. But we can try a couple of exhale through your nose. You will see that this instantly, you will feel that the feeling of coolness in your chest. It really cools you down to the point like you'll actually feel your body temperature go down by a couple of degrees. It works instantaneously, and you also see your mind is calmed down. Great. Now let's move on to the next pranayama. Normally, when you do this Shitali pranayama, you do it 21 times, like breathing in and breathing out. That's one cycle. Do it 21 times. It's very powerful. The next pranayama I'm going to teach you is called Anapana. It's very simple. It's breathing in through one nostril and breathing out through the other nostril. So you start off by holding your thumb, pressing your right nostril with your thumb, and then breathing in through only your left nostril. If breathing out makes you feel stressed because I'm asking you to breathe out twice as long, you don't have to do it. Just breathe out like till the count of 6. Typically, you have to close your eyes, nose, and mouth, and then just hum. So right now, I'm going to only teach you the humming part. Just close your eyes take a deep breath, and then hum deeply and intensely without stopping. Like as long as possible, just hum. And then when your humming stops, take a quick breath, let the natural breath happen, and then start the humming again. So for example, it sounds like this. Now, while you're doing this, for a more intense hum, you can actually close your ears also. Like put your fingers on your earlobes and close them, and that will intensify the hum because the sound hums inside your head. And very soon how many of you could feel the humming reverberate inside your head even after the humming, you stop humming? Right? You would feel that humming inside your face and in your chest. So the more you practice it, if you do it for like 21 minutes, this humming is a very intense exercise. Great. So these are things you can practice pretty much anywhere. And these are all. Okay. Here I'm going to talk about sustainable mental health and AI. I have practiced, AI for a very long time, and I've applied AI to multiple different domains. And most recently, I've applied AI to education. And AI is an amazing area which having access to free spiritual AI solutions online is actually a great way for us to give mental health access to people. Let's go to the next slide. Today's AI is actually super powerful. It can be very conversational in asking questions and getting answers. And it can be very personalized without storing personal information. And if you have availability, like access to a smartphone, to ask questions and get answers. It's very easy. Go to nityananda.ai, or you can use the barcode that's available on the screen. And it's a great, you have to sign in for you to get access, but it's a demo because it can take time. But here I'm going to show you a demo. This is like a video that I captured on a real demo. I captured a video. For example, I'm asking the question, whenever I even stay at work a little bit late, I notice that I'm very anxious about how my wife will feel. What do I do about it? This AI makes use of if you can pause the video here, Peter, arises from separation between these two responsibilities and understanding that these two are both parts of you. And if you understand it from that wholeness perspective, message that it helps you understand that you are a whole and you can't divide yourself into different personalities. About facing stress and suggesting yoga and meditation techniques. If you can fast forward this, maybe 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the next example is about, oops, we went too far.
Health, wellness, and holistic approaches. It's my turn to talk about women's mental health issues, incident causes, solutions, and understanding the unique challenges and holistic approaches. The National Institute of Mental Health here shows the incidence of mental illness among women. 1 in 5 women experience a mental health assault and emotional abuse. Social pressures and roles. Women often face societal expectations to fulfill multiple roles like caregiver, professional, and homemaker. And body image issues like living in the era of social media on beauty concepts and appearance leads to eating disorder, low self-esteem, self-denial, and self-hatred. Discrimination and gender inequality, experience of sexism, workplace discrimination, and the gender pay gap can lead to chronic stress. relationship dynamics, women often, psychotherapy is mainly for the mild problems. It's called a talk therapy or counseling. And medications can be antidepressant, anti-anxiety medications, mood stabilizers, and antipsychotic. There are 70 different medications available now. Usually medications change brain chemistry and with many side effects, makes it hard to be compliant. And social stigma around mental illnesses also prevent people to seek the treatment. So by knowing the different reasons for women's mental illness and also the available treatments are not that effective, let's learn from KAILASA a holistic approach with very powerful words about women. Women, by their very DNA, have the capacity and groundedness to hold an ecosystem or family or a team or a community together. So women have their own intuitive intelligence in the field of keeping something very stable, keeping it together and making it functional. So Hinduism creates an ecosystem for every woman to manifest that possibility and that power. So this is the great way to start, where Manu, women make up 90% of the governance in KAILASA. So when we empower women, they can be great leaders. So we are using various approaches: allopathy, naturopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha. It's again, it's a free medical care is provided, and along with spiritual and psychological support and counseling to all women. So over 10 billion US dollars have been invested in women's health at KAILASA. This is very impressive. And again, a spiritual wellness, a core indigenous cultural aspect of Hinduism is being revived as part of KAILASA by Swamiji is the mother worship. The matrilineal society that used to exist in ancient Hindu nations. It's very important to know in KAILASA, women are worshipped and revered and have a secure sexual harassment-free ecosystem due to its zero tolerance policy against sexual harassment and exploitation. And it creates the most safest environment for them to find employment. KAILASA's Ankita program is an educational program. So it's mostly educate female child and women to empower them. And Nityananda's Women Foundation, it helps Indigenous women to become again to get financial freedom and emotional support. The next slide.
Only feminine.
Yeah, I think it's a video to be played. Let's hear from Swamiji, his powerful message and a description of a woman by him.
Energy can be given the world. Only feminine energy can be. Unfortunately, see, if it was handed over to women, it would have been completely family-based civilization. So naturally, everybody would have had their basic needs.
So in summary, on women's mental health, yes, women do face unique challenges. It's to be approached by practicing. And after being with Swamiji for almost about 20 years, none of my patients need pain medicine and none of my patients need narco. And it's his initiation, empowerment of women. We do like get powerful life, whatever you are, like wherever you are, to lead a very powerful emotions and past traumas, building resilience and improving healthy relationship and leads to an empowered life. And there is a short video, listen from his powerful words and transforming message to all.
Second, no, this is, even if it is true, not for me. No, this may be true for the people who don't have to work for their food and paying the bills. No, maybe it is true for the people who are sitting in Kailasa and enjoying the happy, free life. All kinds of thought currents will come inside. Sit, have a little patience, everything. Intensely chant Mahavagya and see the mirror and start reliving this pattern, start completing. You will see me appearing in the mirror and making you completely complete and making you manifest powerful cognitions and power. Be internally, externally dependent on something else other than Paramashiva. Bend down. Bend down. Sit in front of mirror and start completing all those patterns and incidents, root incidents, everything. Let all the incompletions melt down, be completely burnt away.
Of this is a global burden of disease in this age group. And suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds. And 296 million people globally deaths were attributed to drug use. Can we have next slide? So here are some of the unique challenges for children, which includes physical, emotional, other consciousness-based approaches which were discussed earlier, practiced on a regular basis, including yoga, meditation, and sattvic diet. Swamiji had given details how this Hindu education system promotes freedom to explore and be creative, and not force children into strict curriculum, and nor evaluate them based on narrow rubrics. This mind-body consciousness-based education empowers children and helps them feel power. Copy phase, students are first asked to copy 12 images of various complexity. This copy phase reflects their visual motor intelligence and maturity. In second phase, recall phase, which is recall phase, students need to remember, fell into category of genius and very high superior intelligence. IQ score of 120 and above. So it shows very impressive numbers. Next category, intellectual maturity compared to exact evidence, but policies to change and integrate this education into conventional curriculum would be a good sustainable development. Okay, I hand over to next speaker.
Really, many of their goals would be achieved by adopting this lifestyle. At NHU, the Anichananda Hindu University, we aspire to be a world's leader in the study of mental health, of enlightenment, and of super consciousness. And we very sincerely and formally and informally invite anyone who's interested in researching this possibility, this phenomena that I think is available here in ways it's not been described otherwise, in stress, extreme improvement in well-being, mindfulness, and overall health. That program is ongoing. You can find it at parameshivahom.org. So we invite policymakers, we invite academicians, and other politicians, anyone to contact us to see how we can bring this to the world to attain and achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals and bring
airflow, thought flow. You have something called energy flow continuously happening in you. In this energy circulation, energy flow, if there is a disturbance in some part, for example, liver, kidney, or heart, intestine, at some point.
For Kundalini energy, in the Vedic tradition, the Kundalini energy is the innate, immense potential energy in every individual that helps complete the energy circuit. How does Kundalini energy reach different parts of the body? Let us take the example of a water tank. A water tank is a structure which stores water. This water is distributed to different places through the pipelines, which forms a circuit, pedants to energy flow forward, and it results in disease in that particular organ. The Kundalini energy in our body is like the water in the water tank. Kriyas are powerful tools which help.
The wiring gets properly aligned. After that, the kumbhaka starts pumping the energy into that acute blockage free. The circuit becomes perfect, but only through the kumbhaka you are free. These kriyas are not just ordinary asana, ordinary yoga postures, ordinary kumbhaka, ordinary pranayama. It is like two different chemicals. Separately, if you take, it may take 10 years for you to cure the disease. But mixed properly in certain combination, chanting of some mantra internally. See, internally when you create the sound, it's called mantra. Externally when you listen, it's called chanting. So, mantra, internal verbalization. Fifth, chanting, external, the sound you are hearing. And sixth, now I am adding karanas, the different Shivadandava karanas. Seventh, I am adding the recent discoveries of modern day gymming and weightlifting. So all these 7 put together.
3 steps. It actually builds on top of what we did before, right? Earlier we learned how to do Nadi Shodhana, which is breathe in through one nostril, breathe out through the other nostril, breathe in through that nostril and breathe out. So that's one thing we learned. We're going to do that first. Then the second step is you sit in a special posture. Do we have the picture of that posture? There is a posture, I shared a picture yesterday. That's the posture. Peter will show the picture. That's the second step. In that posture, you just hum intensely. And the humming is something I already shared with you before. And the third step is lie down, and in the bliss of the hum, the humming creates intense humming in your body. It creates an elevated feeling. Just lie down with that feeling and unclutch from everything. So close to your chest, and then do intense humming. That's for 7 minutes. And then finally, we leave you with the lying down and unclutching. And typically this combination of these 3, doing this before you go to sleep, is very, very powerful. It will de-stress your entire body very beautifully. Okay, let's start with Nadi Shodhana. If Peter, you could play the music. play the music too, Peter. Thanks. Now, lie down. With the intense, you will feel the intense humming, the coolness all over your body. Just lie down. Peter, you can pause the music. Thank you. Great. I hope you all experienced a wonderful, relaxed experience. Like, our goal was not only to provide you with the science, but also provide you with
for people to join the Parameshriva Home program or contact us at Nityananda Hindu University about research collaborations, funding collaborations, anything that you want to collaborate with. And we really believe that this science will absolutely 100% help the UN achieve their Sustainable Development Goals, and are excited to further collaborate with you.